If you ever find yourself in the unfortunate position of batting for dubs, you'll understand that it can feel like you're always playing defense on the back foot. Since the majority of anime fans don't speak Japanese or even understand what quality Japanese voice acting is, it's hard to criticize most shows' voice acting as it is. Only in extreme cases do people ever seem to complain, mostly for being too high-pitched or if there's just technical errors, like in Fastest Finger First. But you're always playing on the back foot with time. No one will ever really wait for a show to be dubbed in order to watch it, and by then it's already been another season or two, so there is something new to focus on. So you always end up looking at older dubs that people enjoy. Also, you can bet that if there is an error in the dub, then people will raise hell, like with the Kobayashi dub. Cowboy Bebop is probably the most well-received dub in anime, alongside others like Trigun and Ghost Stories, but I'll get to that one soon. Cowboy Bebop is also a show that has a lot of crossover with non-anime fans, and thus the dub is only what some people will ever watch. It's almost never taken that an English dub could ever be better than a Japanese sub, in the eyes of extreme anime fans. Almost. Ghost Stories is an interesting case, because it goes against all the conventions of what makes a dub appear good in the eyes of anime fans. It completely changes the entire feeling of the show, it doesn't faithfully translate the Japanese, and it is essentially a well-produced abridged series, full of American pop culture and meta-anime jokes. But there is no one who would question that the dub for Ghost Stories is the better of the two options for the show. But is that because the dub is funny, or is it because no one cares about the original series anymore? The original Ghost Stories bombed in Japan, and so they were given almost free reign to do whatever they wanted with it. The Ghost Stories dub is in effect a completely different anime to the sub, but yet when you check Mal, you only see the show as a conjunction of these two extremely different media properties, with reviews being mainly about the dub, but sub-reviews being sprinkled in, which overall misrepresent people's true feelings about the show. In this case, and with Bebop's, the scores would be drastically different if the show's ratings were split between the dub and the sub, but I recognize that these are extremes, and changing the system isn't necessarily the best option. I mention this only to say that dubs can seriously affect a person's enjoyment of an anime, and that people don't generally recognize that effect unless it's in the extreme examples. Enter Mary and the Witch's Flower. The 2017 movie by soon-to-be greats Studio Ponic, directed by Yonebayashi, is in effect a Ghibli work, albeit not as good as some of the best that the studio has produced. The film setting is integral to the film. The luscious landscapes harken to classic British children's books, and it stands alongside other European-inspired witch anime like Kiki's Delivery Service, Little Witch Academia, and The Ancient Magus Bride. But for once, in the dub, the characters actually sound like where they are from. Take Little Witch for example. Although I think certain entries into it are great, and others average at best, the show does feature characters clearly inspired from different parts of the world. Germany, Finland, the Philippines, Japan, and America all make the list, but the fact that everyone speaks Japanese, while practical, does disassociate the characters from their clearly British and international inspired setting. Same for Ancient Magus Bride, but at least that has the excuse that the main character gets trafficked from Japan to the UK. But sitting down in the theatre watching Mary, it felt like a new life had been breathed into the film through the dub. Now it would be one thing if the voices were actually British and they did an awful job, but that's not the case. The dub is still well done, as well as containing that element of location that adds even more to the film than an American dub could do. Now this argument for the dub is disregarding most of the problems with the film, and it's one thing to dislike the film because of its narrative issues or lack of character development, but one thing that does deserve praise is the dub. Alongside other things of course, but mainly the dub in this case. I do feel like most times, dubs, especially American dubs, are used in effect to service the anime instead of enhancing the experience of it. There are of course exceptions, and oftentimes trying to adapt Japanese exclusive things for English speaking audiences can shoot yourself in the foot, like using honorifics in the K-On! Dub, and also in the K-On! Movie the girls are practicing their English, and then they don't really understand that the people are speaking English. Examples like that do highlight how dubs are a difficult and delicate task, but that means that really engaging dubs, like Mary and the Witch's Flower, should be praised and touted as examples of dubs done right. So if you do decide to watch Mary and the Witch's Flower, make sure that you watch it dubbed. Also, I just want to mention that I love the Bebop, Trigun, and Ghost Stories dub. I've been Kazimoto. Please subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Share my 12 days of anime videos if you've enjoyed them. Adios.